At Snapple, we've heard from many people who love our Diet Snapple flavors, but often confuse their bottles with regular Snapple. Ideas, anyone?
Maybe those people should get their eyes checked.
Okay, read the chart.
Diet Snapple, 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 Diet Snapple, Snapple. Nope.
Welcome home.
Good evening, folks, and welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom, and the simulcast is on the air now from CBS Television and Radio for Tuesday night, the 4th of February, 1997. As we used to say when I worked in the newsroom years ago, this has been a very good news day. Rhea Perlman, who appears on a CBS in a primetime sitcom entitled Pearl, was a scheduled guest here tonight, along with our friend David Milch, who gave the world NYPD Blue. But around 4:30 Pacific time this afternoon, the world began to go a different way. Most of us were tuning in for the evening news or the State of the Union address from the first Democratic president to be elected. Word came to a second term since FDR, when word came from the courtroom in Santa Monica. There, a jury considering the civil case against O.J. Simpson had reached a verdict. For some minutes, it seemed the networks would face a Hobson's choice, either carry Bill Clinton at 9 Eastern time or stay with the O.J. Simpson coverage. And then the verdict was delayed, held off till 10 p.m. Eastern time to give all parties time to arrive at the courtroom. About 15 minutes later, it was all over. 12 jury members all saying that O.J. Simpson was liable for killing Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson and awarding Goldman's family $8.5 million. The producers and I felt we could not ignore this story, and we changed the course of our show late in the day. So tonight we'll turn to Laurie Levinson of the Loyola Law School for the events as they unfolded in the courtroom today. Remember, there were no cameras present this time. And Vincent Bugliosi, whose book measures his own personal outrage at Simpson's acquittal in the criminal trial. David Milch will appear here on Friday night, and Rhea Perlman in the near future. Today's verdict raises another question about how we administer justice in America. As it pertains to O.J. Simpson, the criminal courts declared him innocent, a family court gave him back his kids, and tonight a civil jury may well have made him bankrupt. We hope you'll join us on the toll-free highway tonight to vent your opinions, as Fred Goldman did tonight before hundreds of apparent supporters as he left the courtroom this evening.
Today's 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years, and we finally have justice for Ron and Nicole. And we have it because of Dan Petrocelli, Ed Medvine, Tom Lambert, Peter Gelblum, Yvette Molinaro, Steve Foster. Oh, my mind's going crazy, I'm sorry. The names just aren't coming quick enough. And it was done with honesty and dignity, complete truth. And our family is grateful for a verdict of responsibility, which is all we ever wanted. And we have it. Thank God.
One last bizarre happening in what has been a theater of the bizarre for nearly 3 years in Southern California. The reports are that O.J. Simpson, on his way home after hearing the verdict, stopped his car in West Los Angeles and bought some ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. Go figure. Back with Laurie Levinson after this break. Thank you for tuning us in.
Yours?
No, I'm a dog walker.
Well, can I help you?
Oh, sure, Cliff.
Come on, let's go, kids.
Come on. Come on, everybody.
Here we go. They all have a mind of their own, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah. She's pretty tough, isn't she? When do you get your breakfast?
Whenever I can. I go to somewhere where I can have breakfast all day.
You know, I'll bet you'd like IHOP's French Connection. Luscious French pancakes and golden French toast with bacon, sausage, ham, and eggs, all for $2.99.
Have you ever walked any other kind of animals?
Iguana.
What do they eat?
Omelette.
Laurie Levinson is an associate dean of the Loyola Law School here in Southern California, as well as a consultant to CBS News. She has been following the Simpson case closely since it all began nearly 3 years ago. She was in the courtroom tonight when the verdict was handed down, and she joins us tonight from the Santa Monica courthouse. Laurie, I know you had a very, very long day, and I appreciate your staying up late for us tonight. How does it feel knowing, as a correspondent who has covered this now since it began, that you're finally nearing the finish line? They say 3 days, and it will all be over.
Oh, it's almost unbelievable. The rush in the courtroom when we heard the verdict tonight and the sensation that there might be an actual end to the O.J. Simpson case, I think that was impressed on everyone. But frankly, if you think about it, There's going to be an appeal, so I'm not sure when this case will end.
Take us inside the courtroom. As I mentioned opening up, there were no cameras present this time, so what happened? Tell me about the jury as they came in. Did they look at Simpson? Any body language there?
You know, this is a poker face jury, and they were poker faced tonight as well. We all got into the courtroom very late. We were waiting for the families to come up. When we got in there, I saw Fred Goldman. He was very nervous. He was wearing a button with his son's picture on it. O.J. sat there placidly looking straight ahead. Bob Baker was slouched in his chair. And then the jury came in and the judge came in and they started to do the verdict forms, and frankly it seemed to take forever.
Right.
By the time they read it, there was an eruption in the courtroom. The plaintiff's lawyers reached over and hugged the families, and the families were hugging each other, and everybody was crying, including some of the lawyers.
Now, wasn't there a moment there where Fred Goldman went, yes, and the judge admonished him?
You've got it. Right when the verdict was read, that's what Fred Goldman said. He said yes, and he hugged everyone, and everyone began to cry, and the judge said that he would clear the courtroom if there was any more outbursts.
What about O.J. Simpson as the verdicts came out?
You know, what was amazing about O.J. is that he sat there almost like a stone. And not just for a minute when the first verdict was read, but after that, his own lawyer had the jurors polled. So they went through each verdict and each finding of malice and oppression and wrongful death and battery and the $8.5 million, and each juror said yes, yes, yes. So that's almost 100 times where O.J. Simpson heard, yes, you're the killer, and not a reaction from him.
And what about the jury members as they said that word yes? I'm told that they looked at Simpson, that they confronted him with this word yes.
The jurors did look at Simpson, and some of them spoke very loudly, including some of the jurors that I think many people had speculated were defense verdicts. They rang out loud and clear that, yes, that was their verdict.
Before the verdicts came in, I was watching CBS this afternoon before I came to work, and they were talking about the testimony of the limo driver, Mr. Parks, I believe, and how the jury in the criminal case had gone to that same tidbit of testimony and then came in with a verdict less than an hour after they had the reread back in the criminal trial. And there was a feeling that, uh-oh, this may go against Goldman again because they've come back to that same piece of testimony which was so critical to the timeline.
Well, actually, what's interesting, they did come back to Alan Park, but different parts of his testimony.
Oh, okay.
The criminal jury had focused on when he was looking at the curb. This jury focused on a different part, but I still think you're right. I think there were many experienced reporters there who were surprised by the verdict, wondered how the jury could come back from a day of readbacks and then come up with a liability number at the same time. So people were a little concerned about where this was headed.
How about the correspondent I'm talking to? How surprised was she?
You know what? This correspondent has learned over the course of several trials of the century, don't try to guess, because it's all tea leaves. One thing that concerned me, frankly, is why was the jury going to stay so late? If they thought they had to come back for work tomorrow, why wouldn't they just say, we'll see you later? But as it turned out, it was because the judge told them so. So as this case was going on, everyone had the sense that it was a very strong case. That's undeniable. But what the jury would do, we've learned to not guess.
What about O.J.'s lawyers? I'm thinking back to Cochran and Shapiro et al. at the end of the criminal trial when they embraced him and shook his hands and, you know, pounded him on the back. What about O.J.'s lawyers this time? Any physical contact, any eye contact?
A little bit of contact. Sitting next to him was Phil Baker, Bob Baker's son, and Dan Leonard as well. And they put his hand on his back, but other than that, there was no real hugging or embracing.
O.J. Simpson on the stand, contradicting himself, losing moments in time as he tried to explain the events on the night of the killing. Did he harm himself by testifying, do you think?
Oh, I think so. I think, frankly, the most damaging piece of evidence in this case was O.J. Simpson himself. If you take a look at, even at the end, what the jurors were focusing on, it was testimony by O.J.'s best friend, Al Cowlings, that contradicted him. So O.J., by having to take that witness stand in the civil case, which he didn't have to do in the criminal case, was his own worst enemy.
And what tipped the scales? Was it the shoes? Was it the admission of the lie detector results into evidence, which was not allowed at the criminal trial? If there was one thing that pushed it over the line against Mr. Simpson, or two things, what would it or they be?
Well, it's hard to know until the jurors speak, but I would have to think it's the pictures of O.J. wearing those Bruno Magli shoes, O.J. on the witness stand, and the defense not being able to play the race card.
On the toll-free, here is Janet on the phone from the Bronx, New York. Hi, Janet. Welcome to CBS Late Night. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. What did you think when you heard the verdict today, Janet?
Well, I had followed the criminal trial, and I had followed the criminal trial, and I wasn't sure whether he was guilty or not. but the prosecution never proved it. But now I'm concerned. If the case showed that O.J. Simpson was not guilty in the criminal trial, how can he be found liable?
Let me answer that. I actually think that's a great question and one that's on a lot of people's minds.
And one that you may well get from your law students at Loyola.
Absolutely. And what I say to them, and I'll say to you, is that keep in mind that these juries, the criminal and civil juries, had very different jobs. When the criminal jury came back and said not guilty or acquitted, they were not saying he didn't do it. They were simply saying that it wasn't proven to a very high level of beyond a reasonable doubt. The civil jury, who was given much more evidence, was asked a different question. They were asked, was it more likely than not that O.J. was the killer? And based upon this evidence, they could find yes. So, in fact, these are not contradictory verdicts. One is saying it wasn't proven to the highest level. The other was saying it was proved at least to a preponderance.
Okay, but then let me ask you a question I will also ask Prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi when he joins us later on. If this prosecution team had been in place during the criminal trial, might there have been a different result?
My reaction is that these plaintiffs' lawyers did a dynamite job presenting this case. Now, of course, they had the benefit of going second and seeing all the mistakes by the prosecution, but I give them a lot of credit. Daniel Petruccelli was wonderful in cross-examining O.J. Simpson. They were prepared on the law. They went out there and got the evidence. They presented a short, concise case. They didn't bore this jury to death. And I do think that the presentation and the choices of what evidence to present made a difference. They used the Bronco chase. They used O.J.'s statement to the police. They used the evidence that the prosecutors didn't use.
One question I'd love to ask the jury when they're allowed to speak, you know, they can't be spoken to because this case is not over yet. I'm thinking about that piece of tape where one of the cops who was eventually called on the witness stand was talking to O.J. on the car phone, saying, don't do this. Too many people. I mean, here was a cop that was really smeared by Cochran and Company on the phone expressing love for O.J. Simpson, and please don't take your own life.
That's right. It was the Tom Lang call, when Tom Lang was trying to tell O.J., don't hurt yourself. And I think the plaintiffs used that very effectively to say, you know, the LAPD wasn't O.J.'s enemy. They loved this guy, and he knew that they weren't up to no good.
Janet, thank you for calling, and thanks for watching us tonight.
By the way, Tom, one of the advantages of getting old is retiring and being able to stay up late enough to watch the Tom Snyder show, which I enjoy very much.
You're very kind, Janet. Thanks for calling, and have a nice evening, ma'am. Bye-bye now. We will continue with Lori Levinson, and you on the toll-free. Ms. Levinson is a consultant to CBS News and the Associate Dean of the Loyola Law School here in Southern California. The toll-free, for those of you on radio, is up and running at 800-952-2788, and we'll be right back after this break.
This instrument explores your fragile gums. A procedure for gingivitis. Help avoid gingivitis. Use Listerine. Only germ-killing Listerine is clinically proven to help prevent gingivitis. The power of prevention. Listerine.
Well, guess that answers that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want this?
America's favorite fries, McDonald's. Go get them.
Everyone's watching CBS Big February Nights.
I'm Donald Trump, and I've always enjoyed big competition and winning big.
It's the biggest pageant of them all. Join hosts George Hamilton and Marla Maples Trump.
I liked it so much, I made a little investment.
CBS and Donald Trump present the Miss USA pageant, live CBS Wednesday.
The Simpson civil trial. The jury says O.J. has to pay. What does it mean to his kids, the Browns, the Goldmans? The verdict in the Simpson civil trial tomorrow on This Morning.
Sample readings are a waste of time. Look, by the time you get to the psychic, your 2 minutes are up.
Can't learn anything in 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Give me a break.
2 minutes? Please.
Well, those days are over. Now you get 5-minute free readings with the Psychic Friends Network Best Friends program.
2 minutes of free time isn't good for anything, but 5 minutes of free time, now that's an awesome deal.
In those 5 minutes, you can learn more about yourself than you ever thought possible.
5 minutes? It's a great deal.
To learn things that'll change your life forever.
Psychic Friends Network is a name you can trust. I mean, they've been around a long time. They give readings that are honest, direct, and incredibly accurate.
5 minutes? Now that's something.
5 minutes free? You gotta call now.
Hey, this is 5 minutes for free. You gotta try it.
5 minutes free? You gotta call now.
5 minutes free? You gotta give it a try.
No. Never. Absolutely not. Tired of hearing no when you need to buy a car? At Cars Yes, we say yes. Yes. Whether your credit is good or bad, we have a financing plan for you. Yes. Every car is fully inspected with our 205-point quality check. And yes, our exclusive Yes warranty covers you for 12 full months. Call 1-800-CARS-YES today. Cars Yes, the nation's largest used car company.
With Lori Levinson from Loyola Law School here in Southern California and a consultant to CBS News, here is Renee on the toll-free in Chicago. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine, Renee. Thanks for calling tonight.
The question I have is, what is the extent to the punitive damage that can happen to O.J. Simpson right now?
Well, frankly, the sky's the limit. The jury has to come back for another phase of this trial, which won't take long, a day or two, and they're going to hear how much O.J.'s worth and how much he'll be worth in the future, and they get to set the number. They've already set a very high number with the compensatories. I don't think the plaintiffs were expecting an $8.5 million verdict. And it would be ironic if the jury, after the punitive phase, says, you know what, he doesn't have that much. Maybe we won't give that much in punitives.
Right.
We'll have to wait and see.
And let me ask you here about the disparity in money. Like the Goldmans get $8.5 million, but we didn't hear much about what the Browns get.
Well, actually, this is a joint amount, and this amount is only for the Goldmans and for Ron Goldman's mother, because the Brown family didn't sue on a wrongful death. It would have been the children who had the right to do that, and they didn't want to put the children on the witness stand. So this $8.5 million, that's for the Goldmans to split up between the mother and the father, and the Brown family will wait and see what the punitives are.
Okay, and let me ask you here differences between punitive and compensatory.
Well, compensatory, which we heard tonight,
right,
was really only for what the Goldman families lost, and what they lost was the love, comfort, society, friendship of father to mother,
right,
of their son. So that's what that number was all about, and frankly, I don't know anybody who knows where the number came from. The jurors just came up with it, and that's their number. Punitive, on the other hand, they'll be told that you should pick a number that punishes O.J., that sends the message and deters him and others from doing it again.
And Renee, in Chicago, your reaction when you heard these verdicts come down today?
I felt a real closure on the case personally. I was quite disappointed with the criminal trial, but I felt closure myself for this trial.
I'm glad you called, Renee, and thanks for a perceptive question.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, O.J. will have to come back to the stand when they resume on Thursday, and he'll be asked questions about his finances. I mean, how deeply can they go into money that might well be offshore, in foreign accounts, in retirement accounts, money in places where it cannot be touched?
Well, they've been digging deep. They had some pretrial depositions where they went after O.J., they asked these questions, and then after there was a magazine article just last week, they went back to the court while the jury was deliberating and said, make him give us more information. Because I do think the plaintiffs don't really expect to collect all of this judgment. They're hunting around and seeing which money is not sheltered. O.J.'s lawyers have done a very good job of sheltering most of his money from attachment.
And do you think the Goldmans really care about the money at this point?
Well, you know, after being around them and hearing Fred Goldman, I never thought that this was about money. I mean, he said it tonight. He said this is about justice. This is a man who's been dying 1,000 deaths. And some people think he went overboard. But I do think sincerely for him, money was not the issue.
I've only interviewed him once. He was here one night, and I got the feeling that this was a man on a mission. This was a holy crusade with this man. He really felt that his son was had been killed by O.J. Simpson, and he was out to have that declared in a public court.
That's right. I mean, he hates O.J. Simpson. And what his lawyer was able to get across is that they don't hold O.J. Simpson in great esteem. They don't consider him a celebrity. They consider him a killer. And that's what Fred Goldman and his lawyer wanted to tell the world. And for them, that's what this case was about.
And as you noted, if it comes out that O.J. Simpson doesn't have $8.5 million or doesn't have $13 million or whatever the final number is, then the jury would bring that 8.5 down. Or the judge could bring it down as well, could he not?
The judge does have the power, and we're going to have to wait and see. There'll be many motions after this is all done in which the judge decides whether there should be something called a remediator. And that just means the judge saying, hey, the judgment's too high, we have to drop the level. But we're not at that stage yet. We still have to finish this trial.
And the appeal itself, how long does that take to file? I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Simpson and company will appeal this verdict today.
Oh, they've been preparing their appeal the entire trial.
And how long does it take to set those wheels in motion? How long will it take to get that underway?
I will be surprised if the appellate notice isn't filed immediately after the final verdict in this case.
No.
They've said that they will appeal, and I'm sure that they will.
But, Lori, my question is, once they file, how long does it take to go through the gristmill of legalese to get before another court?
Oh, it could take several years. So, frankly, the trial of this century could be the appeal of the next century.
Right. And so, in other words, O.J. is not going to have to write a check anytime soon.
Well, that's unclear. I mean, and we don't know whether a court's going to stay the judgment. Also, as I said before, the Goldmans, even if they get the judgment, that's only half the battle. They have to find the money and collect on it.
And Kelly on the toll-free in Creedmoor, North Carolina. Hello.
Hello?
Good evening, Kelly. It's Tom. You're on the air.
Oh.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'd like to know if any... Hello?
Kelly, I'll tell you what you do. Go and turn the sound down on your television set or radio and then come back to the phone, okay?
Come back phone again?
Yeah, you go and turn down the sound on the television set or the radio because you're getting...
I turn it off right now.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Okay, I want to know if anything like that ever happened. Like, a defendant is black, and, I mean, a defendant is white, and then all the jury members are white, and then what's your name again? Okay, the jury members are white. Like everybody else white, and then the defendant, everybody else black. Oh gosh, like the defendant is white, and then the jury members are black.
Right.
If anything like that ever happened in this country, like, you know, to find like O.J. Simpson is guilty by that many white people, and we know we black people don't take that jury seriously. We don't take that verdict seriously, because if they really want to give a true verdict, they will, you know, they will put some black and white and other race in there, you know?
So your question is, insofar as Lori Levinson knows, and I'm not a student of the court, so I don't know, Kelly, has there ever been an all-black jury that convicted a white man? Would that be the question?
Oh, let me answer this question.
Please.
Because I do think that, unfortunately, this society is going to be divided somewhat on race in reaction to this verdict.
No question.
It's too bad people actually didn't get to see it on camera so that they could see the evidence. But to answer your question, the truth is that in every city in this country, every day, you have black jurors convicting blacks, you have white jurors convicting whites, and what happened in the O.J. Simpson case is that we divided along racial lines, which raise some important questions, but do not necessarily reflect the reality of what's happening in other courtrooms.
Kelly, thank you for calling, and thanks for watching our program tonight. The thing I wanted to ask you before I went to the call that slipped my mind for a second. It's my understanding that the decision in the custody case is under appeal by the Brown family, and I'm just wondering if there is any possible linkage between the verdict tonight and what that court might consider in terms of custody of O.J.'s kids.
I don't think people should expect that Judge Stock, who granted O.J. custody of his children, will change her mind just because of the verdict in this case. And when she initially issued her ruling, she decided not to hold a ruling. She could have until after this case was over. She seemed to think that they were distinct issues. Now, I think the Browns will try to raise it again, and maybe there'll be some heat on this judge. But legally, he still could keep the kids, even with this civil judgment.
Okay, I have to stop for a commercial. Back for a few more minutes here with Lori Levinson from the Loyola Law School in Southern California, and as many of you as we can accommodate on the toll-free line. We'll be right back after this break.
In a Saab 900 5-door, you could take all your children and all your children's children. make the things that go bump go bye-bye. In the family car that makes sure the family chauffeur has some fun too. Find your own road. Saab. Lease a 97 Saab 900S 5-door for $299 a month.
To get at all the vegetables in new Tostitos Ultimate Garden Salsa, they had to invent a more maneuverable chip. Introducing bite-sized Tostitos tortilla chips. And Ultimate Garden Salsa. The perfect chips for the perfect dip. Tostitos. Now's a good time.
Where do germs live that surround your gums and teeth? Plaque. Think you're immune? Take the plaque scratch test. Scratch a tooth up by your gum line. We won't look. That film is plaque. It's a magnet for germs. That's why you should remove it with advanced formula plaques. The only brand proven to remove more plaque before you brush, and thousands of germs with it. Remove plaque and germs with advanced formula plaques.
The world is such a fascinating place. How do you explain it? For generations, families have turned to the World Book Encyclopedia. Now there's World Book Multimedia from IBM, with 22 volumes on 2 CDs, connected to a select library of websites.
An owl will take over the old nest of a hawk or a crow.
It's not just a place to look things up, but a new way to learn.
Maxwell's caught in the act.
Oh, my God!
Tart, sir?
Been there, done that.
It's an all-new nanny, then.
Watch Pearl this week. We've got a special secret guest star. Tune in to find out who it is. It's a big surprise.
Danny DeVito guest stars in Pearl. It's all-new comedy, CBS Wednesday.
A Ranger trainee challenges Chuck Norris.
I'll say uncle if you will.
But her ex-husband is the real problem.
I didn't come here to fight.
Tough, all-new Walker, CBS Saturday.
Fantastic news as Six Flags launches an incredible season pass offer. Buy now for just $44.95 and get more value than ever with unlimited visits to Six Flags Magic Mountain. Flying high in 97 is Superman the Escape, 100 miles per hour in 41 stories. The fastest, tallest thrill ride on the planet is a huge addition to Six Flags' awesome arsenal of thrill rides and water rides, plus the new Batman and Robin live action show. You get a big premium coupon book packed with savings like a free ticket to Six Flags Hurricane Harbor Water Park, a free visit for a friend, a free kids ticket, and a free parking coupon. Plus free special events and concerts, and your pass is good at all Six Flags theme parks. Visit twice and your pass is more than paid for. Visit Hurricane Harbor, bring a friend for free, your parking pass, your free kids ticket, 2 special events, your premium book discounts, subtract a low season pass price, you've saved hundreds. A Six Flags Magic Mountain season pass is California's best entertainment value. Call for yours now.
Hi.
Hi.
All these yours?
No, I'm a dog walker.
Oh, can I help you?
Oh, sure, Cliff.
Come on, let's go, kids.
Come on. Come on, everybody.
Here we go. They all have a mind of their own, don't they?
They sure do.
Yeah. She's pretty tough, isn't she? When do you get your breakfast?
Whenever I can. I go to somewhere where I can have breakfast all day.
You know, I'll bet you'd like IHOP's French Connection. Luscious French pancakes and golden French toast with bacon, sausage, ham, and eggs, all for $2.99.
Have you ever walked any other kind of animals?
Iguana.
What do they eat?
Omelets.
With Lori Levinson from Loyola, here is Lance on the toll-free in Philadelphia. Hi, Lance. Welcome to CBS Late Night.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Well, how'd you feel when you heard the verdict today, Lance?
Actually, I was just actually heard it a few minutes ago.
Is that right?
Yes.
Your immediate reaction, what'd you think?
I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Why not?
In my opinion, it wasn't that much evidence between the civil trial and the criminal trial. It seemed like to me that the jury was out to get O.J. Simpson.
The jury was what, sir?
Out to get O.J. Simpson.
Oh, really? Okay. And your question for myself or for Miss Levinson?
Well, do you think that was so? With all the pretrial publicity for the past 2 years, people were just hammering into people's head that this man is guilty.
You know, I understand that why you're concerned. You know, it's interesting. I was at this trial from beginning to end. And what most people don't know is that these jurors actually said in their answers during jury selection that a lot of them thought O.J. wasn't guilty or hoped that he wasn't guilty, and were very concerned about the planting of evidence. So we actually started with jurors who at least said to us that they tended to side with O.J. And I actually disagree with the caller when he said the evidence wasn't that different. It was really night and day. The prosecution didn't use the Bronco chase. They didn't have O.J. put on the witness stand. They didn't have the 30-plus pictures of the Bruno Magli shoes. They didn't have the phone call by Nicole to the battered woman shelter. They didn't have Al Cowlings testifying against his best friend.
They certainly bungled the gloves.
They bungled the gloves. I mean, this case was a very different case, not just in the evidence that was used, but how it was presented. So I don't think it's fair for people to remember what they saw from the criminal case and say, oh, this was all rigged. I wish people had actually seen this trial.
Had the trial been on television, do you think the verdict would have been any different? There was the feeling after the criminal trial that if it hadn't been on television, you know, that a conviction might have been returned.
Well, I think the big difference was, frankly, how the judge controlled the courtroom. You know, this Judge Fujisaki was a no-nonsense judge. And even if we had had a camera in the courtroom, my thought is that he would not allow the lawyers to get away with, in this case, what happened in the criminal case. So in my mind, it's not a camera in the courtroom, it's how the judge runs the courtroom.
Okay. Thanks for calling, Lance, in Philadelphia. And finally, before we let you go here for the night, Ms. Levinson, your own personal take on all that happened today. 12 jurors, unanimous, returning yes responses on all 8 questions, $8.5 million. What happened today in your mind?
Well, I think in my mind today, the civil jury decided that they were going to send their message, and their message was a unanimous one, that they believed that based on all the evidence, which they spent days poring over, O.J. was the killer. Now, I don't know how this verdict will sit with the American public. We tend to be very divided on this issue, but the jury was not divided. All of them got together, they spent their time, and I know that they worked hard, which whether or not you agree with their verdict.
And based on all the evidence that you've seen presented by both prosecution and defense in the criminal and civil proceedings, do you think O.J. Simpson is a killer?
I think that there was ample evidence to support this verdict. I tried a lot of cases in my day, and this is more evidence than I had in most of my criminal cases. And don't forget, all they were asked to decide this time is whether it was more likely than not that O.J. was the killer.
I appreciate your time and your expertise, and I thank you for joining us tonight, Lori.
My pleasure.
Okay, thanks again. Lori Levinson, who is the Associate Dean of the Loyola Law School here in Southern California, and some assessment of the verdict against O.J. Simpson today in the civil penalty trial that took place in Santa Monica. Next, the man who sent Charlie Manson to jail, Vincent Bugliosi, after these messages.
The last lunar fireball was seen over 75 years ago.
And after I see it tonight, I can die a happy man.
Some gums lose flavor fast, leaving you looking for another piece. Too bad he wasn't chewing extra sugar-free gum. It's the one with delicious, refreshing flavor that really lasts.
Another 75 years.
Hey, people are living a lot longer these days.
Extra lasts extra long.
The fun starts here at the 41st Annual Southern California Boat Show, February 1st through the 9th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Over 900 boats and personal watercraft are making their 1997 West Coast debut. We've turned the entire South Hall into a super mall for boats and personal watercraft. Family runabouts, fishing boats, ski boats, luxury cruisers, high-performance sport boats, personal watercraft, and marine accessories. Hurry, the boat show is only 9 days, February 1st through the 9th at the Los Angeles Convention Center. Don't miss the boat show.
Because LA is a city on wheels, traffic information is vital. Traffic reports every 6 minutes only on KNX 1070 with exclusive drive-time traffic anchors, airborne reporters, and freeway scanner system. Traffic reports every 6 minutes only on KNX 1070 in times of emergency or in time for work. KNX gives you more traffic more often. Traffic reports every 6 minutes only on KNX 1070 News Radio.
According to Ojibwe legend, a little child had a dream about the best way to gather wild rice, that it should be knocked from the stalks with blessed sticks and parched in the sun and danced on to remove the husks. The people did this, and they made it through the winter with enough to eat, which is just one reason why the Ojibwe have always made it a point to talk to their children and to listen.
help preserve traditional native cultures by supporting the 29 American Indian colleges.
This is 911 operator 224. What's your emergency?
We need an ambulance. Oh, we got my boyfriend. I think he's gonna die.
Okay, please try to calm down.
He's unconscious. He's bleeding. Discovered his
I need to
blood.
get some information from you, okay?
Okay, hurry.
Okay, where are you?
At the corner of 17th and Main.
An ambulance is on the way. Stay on the line. Tell me what happened.
He just started freaking out, smashing things, and then he put his fist through a window, and now he's bleeding.
Okay, was he using any drugs?
Yes.
Do you know what he took?
Oh, it's his speed. Meth, I think.
Okay, how much did he take?
I'm not sure.
We got an ambulance going over there right now.
Please hurry.
As you know, this evening, a civil jury found O.J. Simpson liable for the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, ordering him to pay $8.5 million in compensatory damages. Legendary Los Angeles prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi, who wrote a book on the criminal trial entitled Outrage, which became the best-selling book on the New York Times list, is here to share his thoughts on today's verdict. You know, you always come through for me in a pinch, and I appreciate your coming in.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Which of these two verdicts, the criminal verdict that we got about a year ago, acquittal on the killings of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman, and today's verdict, which one will be the one that stands the test of history? Which one will be the ones that people in generations that we haven't even been born yet will say this is the true verdict of O.J. Simpson?
Well, the true verdict was today, but that's not the one they're going to be talking about from years from now. No, they're going to be talking about the criminal verdict. What we had today, it was some justice, finally, but not true justice. Because of the not guilty verdict in that criminal trial, we're not going to have true justice in this case. For what this guy did, Tom, we're talking about brutally murdering two human beings, cutting them down in the springtime of their lives. I mean, 37 stab wounds. Poor Nicole was almost decapitated, left them in a pool of blood. To have true justice, this guy would only have to be in one of two places, either the main line at San Quentin or perhaps death row. Because you have to realize, as I'm sure you do, the Browns and the Goldmans, they're going to be having nightmares for the rest of their lives over what happened to their loved ones. And this tremendous anger that they have against Simpson, that's going to be intensified every time they see this guy on television with a smile on his face. If we define justice as giving a person his or her due, we've only gotten a modicum of justice in this case. We're never going to have true justice in this case. And I think what they're going to be talking about years and years from now is that he was found not guilty in the criminal trial. I'm not saying that this is going to be a footnote, but this is not the important verdict. The important verdict was a not guilty verdict.
Except what about books such as yours, especially yours, Outrage, in which you go through the horrendous mistakes that were made by the prosecution in the criminal trial, where they bungled the gloves, where they bungled Furman completely. We went through the list the last time you were here, Vincent. I mean, if students of history read your book or know of the mistakes that were made, and you are not the only person who accuses the prosecution of making severe mistakes.
Tom,
yes,
the first one. First one, prior to June 10th. This is not boasting, this is factual. You and I, we go way back.
Yes, we
can be candid. Prior to June the 10th, 1996, when this book came out, just check the records. No one was talking about the unbelievable incompetence of the prosecution, Tom. No way.
You're absolutely correct.
What they were talking about, Tom, they're putting the hat on the jury. It was all the jury's fault and the brilliant defense team, the best that money can buy. This started it all, pointing out with irrefutable logic the unbelievable incompetence. And the interesting thing is many of these talking heads, right after the verdict, said that the prosecution did all they could. They did a brilliant job. Of course, the book comes out, and they read it, and now they're taking shots at the prosecution. So it's common now, Tom. It was not prior to June the 10th, 1990.
Okay,
That's just a factual statement.
I will give you full credit for being the first to point out the bungling and the incompetence of Marcia Clark and Chris Darden. But the point I'm trying to have you speak to, my friend, is how much weight will that carry as students of history look back on these two trials and they consider the mistakes made by the prosecution in criminal trial, and they look through the conduct of prosecution in the civil trial. I ask you the same question I asked Laurie Levinson. If Petrocelli and company had been in LA Municipal Court 2 years ago, maybe Simpson wouldn't have walked.
Petrocelli called me before the trial, said that he had read Outrage, these are his words, quote, several times, unquote, and he said he was going to present the case essentially the way I laid it out in the book. The book is already recommended reading at several law schools around the country, DA's offices. It's unbelievable what these prosecutors did. We're not even talking about incompetence in many instances, Tom. We're talking about beyond incompetence into the area of unprecedented, unheard of. Petrocelli did a much better job He's professional. He's a fighter. He treated Simpson the way Simpson deserved to be treated in that courtroom, as a defendant charged with a brutal murder. And I take my hat off to him. I'm proud of him. The prosecutors, unbelievably, during jury selection, Marcia Clark, this is in the transcript, told the jury, he's such a sympathetic guy, this is not a fun place for me to be, as if he's apologizing for prosecuting.
What if Petruccelli had been there instead of Marcia Clark? That's the question.
Well, first time around, I don't think he would have been quite as competent as he was here, but I think Petruccelli would have gotten a guilty verdict.
Let me ask you about
he profited from mistakes.
Yeah, Let me ask you about the point that, and I picked this up from somebody who said it to a camera earlier this evening. Here, one court acquits him, another court gives him his kid back, and another court takes almost all of his money away. What's going on here? What does this say about the American system of justice? It's going in so many directions at once.
Yeah, but you had different burdens of proof, of course. The criminal trial, they had to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Right. Here, they only had to prove that he did it by preponderance of the evidence. Much, much lower burden of proof. The plaintiff's lawyers, much more competent than their counterparts, the prosecutors. They offered much more incriminating evidence, evidence that was inexcusably not presented by the prosecutors.
Bronco chase?
Yeah. Well, the Bronco, not just the Bronco chase, but much more importantly, what was seized thereafter, the gun, the passport, the disguise, several fresh changes of underclothing, Cowlings having $8,750 in cash on him, which he proceeds to tell the detectives that Simpson had given him inside the Bronco. The interrogation the day after the murders, where Simpson admits dripping blood on the night of the murders. He says he has no idea how he got cut. That was not offered during the criminal trial. I'm giving you the reasons, a host of reasons why the verdict was different this time. The defense didn't have Furman to kick around, okay?
Right.
And I agree with Lori Levinson that it's a consensus that when Simpson took that stand, he didn't do himself any favors. One provable lie after another that destroyed his credibility. Every time he opened his mouth, either he contradicted an earlier statement of his, or he contradicted the testimony of other people, like Al Cowlings, who had no reason under the moon to lie, or he actually contradicted tangible evidence, Tom, like telephone records, photographs. One of those 31 photographs, by the way, was published in a Buffalo Bills newsletter 8 months before the murders. Let's italicize the word before. So for that particular photo to have been a fake, apparently the photographer must have been a seer looking into a crystal ball, and he sees the murders 8 months before they take place. He sees the killer wearing Bruno Magli shoes. He knows that Simpson's going to be charged with the murders and deny owning Bruno Magli shoes.
This guy had the greatest crystal ball of all time, didn't he?
So for whatever reason, he doctors the photographs 8 months before the murders. And I've said often that if this case had gone on long enough, I'm being sarcastic, but there's some merit to what I'm saying. If this case had gone on long enough, Simpson and his people would have found some way to work Mother Teresa or Forrest Gump into this conspiracy. I mean, the whole world. Everyone loves O.J. Simpson, but yet everyone's trying to frame him. It's just nonsense. It's moonshine.
Here is Sharon on the toll-free in Toronto. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to CBS Late Night.
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
I'm welcome to be here. I love your show.
Thank you.
I'm really happy that you're listening to me. I have a point to make about the fact that everyone says this is not a racial issue. I have found it personally to be a racial issue. I have wonderful friends, neighbors. I do daycare. I look after 5 black kids. I don't see color. But I found during the trial it was a bit of a problem because I found everyone I know who is white thought O.J. was guilty. Everyone I know who is black thought O.J. was innocent.
Same here, Sharon. And who created that perception? Was it the white community, or was it Johnny Cochran and Bob Shapiro and F. Lee Bailey who created that impression that O.J. was getting the shaft because he was a black American?
It had to be from television. It wasn't from the community.
You don't think it was from Johnny Cochran? You don't think it was from Bob Shapiro?
Yes.
Anyway, let me get your thoughts on this one, Vince.
Well, not statistics, but polls show that right after the murders, 90% of the black community, they were pro-Simpson.
No question.
But they didn't think he was framed. That issue didn't even enter their mind. John Mack, who's a local president of the Urban League, he said, there's no racial issue in this case. And he was right. This was simply a case of a man, Tom, who happened to be black, murdering his former wife and male companion, nothing more, nothing less. And Johnny Cochran, who incidentally, unlike Simpson, who turned his back on the black community years ago, he needed a roadmap to get back to the hood. Johnny Cochran, unlike Simpson, had been good to the black community. He contributed towards black causes, but when it came down to crunch time, okay, he told the black community to take a walk. What he did, he blatantly and cynically exploited the black community to the black community's own long-term detriment just to help his client, who's black in color only. Cochran is the one that created this division between blacks and whites. They weren't thinking about that. And yet there's an apotheosis and glorification of Johnny Cochran in the black community. They should be looking upon him for what he did.
If you think back to when O.J. Simpson was arrested, when they talked about being arrested for murder, the subject of race never came up, that he was arrested because he...
There's no racial. The Rodney King case, racial case.
No question.
If this had been a case of a young black charged with the murder of a white police officer, racial case, this was not a racial case or not. And Cochran knows, he knows that the LAPD didn't conspire to frame O.J. Simpson. He knows that. So he deliberately and fraudulently injected race into this case, and yet now he's a hero in the black community.
We are talking tonight with Vincent Bugliosi, whose book is called Outrage. Back with Vincent and you as time permits after this break.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess who wanted a little more magic in her life. So she went to see the wizard and asked him what to do. Get a Katera, said the wizard, and suddenly there was a coach like she'd never seen before. Well, off they drove into the night with the beautiful princess at the reins. This is magic, thought the princess, but I don't know whether to buy it or lease it. Well, either way, I'll just put it on my bill, said the wizard. Katera, it's the caddy that zigs.
Diamond engagement ring. How else could 2 months' salary last forever?
Adios, amigo. Adios, my friend. The road we have traveled has come to an end. Amigo, adios, my friend.
My grandfather, my father, both my brothers, my kids will probably have thinning hair. Losing my hair was probably one of the most traumatic experiences in my life. But the great thing about Rogaine is you can interrupt nature. You can stop it. It takes 30 seconds. Twice a day, it's easier than brushing your teeth or putting on deodorant. About 4 months later, my wife walked by and she just was, hey, wait a second, you're growing hair. Check this out. And it's thicker, it's fuller. It's great. I'm a user for life.
Still washing your dishes before you wash your dishes? Why? When there's the Jet Clean dishwasher from Maytag, with more powerful cleaning jets than any other dishwasher. Maytag, the dependability people.
What causes denture odor? Come close and we'll show you. Germs. Only Efferdent Plus has Listerine ingredients. It kills odor-causing germs, so you can get this close. Efferdent Plus with Listerine ingredients. Kill the germs, kill the odor.
It's what you won't see with Lubriderm gel cream that makes it different. No greasy smudges, no messy fingerprints. Because this cream helps protect from dryness without leaving behind a greasy feeling. Later, Gator.
With Vincent Bugliosi, prosecutor and author of Outbreak.
Outrage.
Outrage. Outbreak. Jeez. Why isn't this double jeopardy? I've been asked that. You know that you can't be tried twice for the same crime. And this happened to the cops in the Rodney King beating. Okay. They had the criminal trial, civil rights trial. Why isn't this double?
The Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution says you can never prosecute a person twice for the same crime, meaning that after the not guilty verdict in the criminal trial, Simpson theoretically could have got up in open court, confessed, laughed at the jury for being such fools. He can never, ever be prosecuted. The Fifth Amendment does not prohibit another lawsuit, a civil lawsuit, where the victims sue the defendant. Only a second criminal prosecution. Now, there's one little slight exception, as it were, to double jeopardy, if you're a public official. There's a statute enacted, I think it was 1878. It was a post-Reconstruction era statute. It's now 242 under the U.S. Code. What was happening during that era in the South, white sheriffs beating up black people, white juries constantly acquitting them. The federal government stepped in and said, we got to stop that. And the way they were going to stop it and still not be antithetical to the Fifth Amendment, we're going to prosecute them for the same identical incident. However, we're going to charge them with a different crime, violating the civil rights of the victim under, quote, color of law, unquote. So you've got to be a public official. Police officers are public officials. Okay. Simpson's not a public official. Okay.
How do you think Darden and Marcia Clark feel tonight? Not too good, huh?
I wouldn't think they feel too good. It's coming out little by little. It started with outrage that they did a terrible, terrible job. And their whole posture in front of the jury, like I was saying before, Tom, can you imagine Marcia Clark saying, this is not a fun place for me to be, almost apologizing for prosecuting Simpson? Can you imagine Darden in his final summation telling the jury, nobody wants to hurt this guy. We don't. There's nothing personal here, but the law is the law. Again, apologizing for prosecuting him. Petruccelli did not do that. He said, this guy is guilty. He's a brutal double murderer.
And that is what a prosecutor is supposed to say.
They didn't act like prosecutors.
If you had handled the criminal case,
very confident that even with this jury, I could have gotten a criminal conviction at an absolute minimum, Tom. Hung jury, absolute minimum. These prosecutors could not have been any worse. It does not get any worse. It cannot get any worse. And if there's one thing about me, Tom, that I take pride in, I never, ever, ever make a charge without supporting it. Like L.A. Times said in the book, that no one who reads this book will ever again say that the result in this case was solely the result of juror prejudice or the machinations of unscrupulous defense attorneys that DA has been brought before the bar of justice. These prosecutors, as bad as they were, we're talking F-, and I support that in the book, F-. The first vote that this jury took back in that jury room, Tom, people tend to forget. A black juror and a white juror voted guilty on the first ballot. If you can get a 10-2 with an F- by extrapolation, you can imagine what would have happened if there had been an A+ performance by the prosecution, which the people of the state of California were entitled to. Even this jury, which was not the best jury in the world, no question about it, would have responded with a guilty verdict or at a minimum a hung jury, Tom.
The story that he stopped for ice cream on the way home, bizarre, huh? Go figure.
But doesn't surprise me. I coined a phrase once, Tom.
And I got 1 minute here. It's all
I'm a member of the hoi polloi, the proletariat, but am I entitled to coin a phrase?
Sure.
Okay. Any problem that can be solved by money is not that much of a problem after all. The real problems in life can't be solved by money, okay? Simpson knows, whatever the verdict is, he's going to be able to get up in the morning, go out, pick up the newspaper, come back in, have a cup of coffee, fresh orange juice. He's going to have the companionship of his children, female companionship, play golf. But problems like being on death row, Tom, or a terminal illness, or bringing back a loved one, they can't be solved by money. So that's why I'm saying there's only partial justice in this case. We're never going to have true justice because of the Fifth Amendment that you talk about.
Or true closure.
Or true closure, yeah.
I appreciate seeing you again, my friend. Thanks for your comments.
Always a pleasure being on the show, Tom.
Always a pleasure to watch your mind work, Counselor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vincent Bugliosi is the guest, and his best-selling book is called Outrage. Back with a program note after this break. Vincent.
Come on, you're gonna make us wait.
Hey, man, what is this with you? What's your problem?
Diamonds, the gift that lasts forever. The Jewelry Exchange in Tustin imports all their diamonds direct. They carry thousands of diamonds, most GIA or EGL certified, and all the guaranteed lowest prices. 1-carat solitaires start at $5.99. The Jewelry Exchange makes all their jewelry in their state-of-the-art factory and has hundreds of rings, pendants, earrings, and bracelets. Only the Jewelry Exchange in Tustin guarantees all their jewelry to appraise for at least double, that's right, double the purchase price. Buy factory direct and save. The Jewelry Exchange in Tustin.
No. Never. Absolutely not. Tired of hearing no when you need to buy a car? At Cars Yes, we say yes. Yes. Whether your credit is good or bad, we have a financing plan for you. Yes, every car is fully inspected with our 205-point quality check. And yes, our exclusive Yes warranty covers you for 12 full months. Call 1-800-CARS-YES today. Cars Yes, the nation's largest used car company.
Hey, did you know that now Southern Californians get into Disneyland for just $26?
Cool hair, dude.
Southern Californians get into Disneyland for only $26. It's just too good to pass up. Say, did you know that now Southern Californians get into Disneyland for just $26? Disneyland for only $26? It's just too good to pass up.
Last year, one news station worked harder, dug deeper, went the extra mile. Channel 2 News. Winner of more Golden Mike Awards than any other station in Southern California. Including Best Newscast. At Channel 2 News, we're not just committed to bringing you fair, balanced reporting. We're honored.
My friend Don Rickles is here, and Merle Evers, who I believe for a time was the chairwoman of the NAACP and is always a great lady to talk with. Now stay with Steve Mason on the Late Late Radio Show at 1-800-890-9990. That's on CBS Talk Radio after hours. And remember, it is as bad as you think, and somebody is out to get you. Back tomorrow night, same time, same station.
The Simpson verdict. Liable in the deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. End of story? Not even close. Latest details and analysis tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
From Hallmark Hall of Fame, when disaster hits, a convict is sent to save a pregnant woman.
Mercury now.
At Bank of America, we think each customer is unique. That's why we have so many different ways to help. And we make it happen with every call, on every corner, on your schedule. We do this person by person, one dream at a time. We're Bank of America. What could we do for you? Banking on America.
Channel 2 News, best newscast in Southern California.
CBS, welcome home.
From New York, the little city that can, it's The Late Show with David Letterman. Tonight, Fran Drescher, supermodel Ava Herzegovina, and Tony Bennett. Plus Paul Schaefer and the CBS Orchestra. And now, a man who can't come to the phone right now, but please leave a message at the beep. David